D&D Bakugan? D&D Dicelings just like Bakugan?
Bakugan queers are thriving right now with the Dicelings announcement.
Hi, I'm Jett Kuso. I like to nostalgically analyze toy lines, both new and old. And today, it's a review of the worst dice ever made. Fireball! Most of my viewers aren't actually subscribed to my channel, which means you're probably missing out on most of my videos, especially as I'm branching out into a broader range of franchises. So do me a favor and hit the subscribe button so you won't miss out on my uploads in the future. The Dungeons & Dragons Dicelings are a toy line of dramatically oversized plastic 20-sided dice that transform... They're oversized plastic 20-sided dice that convert into a few different creatures from Dungeons & Dragons. The transformation... The conversions are completely manual, utilizing both hinged flaps, rotating pivot points, and ball-jointed limbs to change forms. Each Diceling is sold individually, packaged mostly without plastic packaging, which gives them the vaguely environmentally friendly stamp of approval. Without a doubt, it is a very creative product, but whether or not they're actually well-designed, fun to play with, or worth buying, well, we'll get to that in a second, because D&D Dicelings are only a small element of the wide-spanning merch launch for the new D&D movie. And this is not the first time Dungeons & Dragons has been a toy line. Part 2, a brief history. The first D&D toy line began in 1982 as one of the first D&D things to be produced aside from gameplay-focused products like miniatures. Those existed well before D&D, but mostly for war games and mostly made out of lead. The 80s Dungeons & Dragons cartoon, which a ton of you definitely know about, started a year after the advanced Dungeons & Dragons toy line produced by LJN, most famous today for their bad licensed video games and being a recurring villain to the angry video game nerd. It's a somewhat unremarkable toy line featuring a cast of completely original characters like Strongheart the Paladin, and Warduke the Fighter, Shortsword the Dwarf, and Melf. I made up one of those names, and it wasn't Melf. The stuff is very colorful and creative, but mostly only the monsters bear any of D&D's actual intellectual property. Oh, Tiamat, famous for her claw-grabber legs. The new D&D movie, and as such the new D&D toy line, isn't much different. As far as my research will show, this is the first major D&D toy line launch since the 80s LJN figures. And similarly, it features a new cast of characters, from the movie this time, and a whole bunch of familiar creatures. There are way more toys than just the Dicelings, but they're just action figures. I don't know, I'm not really here to talk about the eye paint quality on new Melf, or the posability of the gelatinous cube. And as much as I would enjoy a geometric crisp pine that folds into a D20, the Dicelings line only features the funky little creatures directly from Gary Gygax's sadistic little brain.
Here I come with a cold open. Hi everybody, this week's video is sponsored by Factor, America's #1 provider of ready-to-heat meals. Factor's meals are fresh, never frozen, microwavable in 2 minutes, or ovenable if you want to oven them. Just make sure you oven them out after you oven them in. That's not important. The point is these are actually really, really tasty, ready-to-heat meals that are delivered directly to your door. Every single one that I've had is actually really tasty, and they come in a few different varieties. They have vegan options, they have calorie-smart meals that are like only around or under 550 calories, or they have protein plus meals, like this one, that have at least 30 grams of protein in them. This one actually has 42 grams of protein, which is very good if you're trying to meet your health goals without having a ton of time to cook. Factor is actually cheaper than takeout, so it's a really, really great way to get the food you need in your body as fast as you need it. So head to factor75.com or click the link in my description and use the code JettKuso50 to get 50% off your first box of Factor meals. That's factor75.com, code JettKuso50 for 50% off your first Factor box. Go there now. I demand you give it a try. It's going to be way tastier than you think it's going to be. On to dice stuff!
We've got the Bugbear, the Green Acid Dragon, Smog, and the dastardly many-eyed Spooker. Hasbro sent me these because I emailed them 10 times asking for free stuff. This is what you get, Hasbro. Hope you're enjoying the content. To be a little bit more serious for a second, and a little bit more honest, I actually think these are kind of great. I wanted them in the first place because I wanted to make a video about them, but I only wanted to make a video about them because I thought they looked kind of fun. Normal action figures usually bore me, which is why I've always been drawn to toys that have some kind of a fidget feature, like Transformers, Bionicles, and of course, Bakugan, which is most of the videos on this channel. Even when I was deep into G.I. Joe as a kid, it was only the 12-inch vintage style Joes that I could dress and customize that I really gravitated towards. It's just too easy to get bored of posing an action figure, and inevitably they end up on a shelf or in a bin. But for an adult, Transformers and Bakugan make for a great desk toy that can be picked up and idly messed with, especially if you're supposed to be doing something else. You know, just transform them back and forth casually. Or convert them! Convert them! The most complex transformation is the Owlbear, which has so many flaps and panels that it's sort of hard to tell when it's actually in its intended final form. The simplest is the Beholder, which bears a stunningly detailed rubber face with movable jaw, and just excellent paint all over. And then the two dragons, Raykor and Themberchaud. They sit right in the middle with perfectly evocative draconic forms. All of them are perfectly serviceable as action figures, though the transforming element does create some limitations. The Owlbear's arms are massive, and the dragon's wings are kind of super segmented, but yada yada yada, I don't care. All I care about is that Themberchaud isn't thick. I only know him from what I've seen in the movie, but I love him with all my heart. I know that they had to slim him down to fit him inside a D20. Sure, I get that, I accept it, but I don't have to like it. This is clearly just a normal ancient red dragon. This is not my chunky boy. I like him thick. I like him chunky. I need to stop. I'm ad-libbing. The skinny slim, I'm still. The skinny, slimmed down geometric elephant in the room is, of course, the comparisons to Bakugan that flew around when these were announced. And this isn't the first time Hasbro has seemingly tried to rip off Bakugan, considering the short-lived Bot Shots toy line of glorified rock, paper, scissors toys. Those kind of deserve a video of their own sooner or later, so. I think when the Dicelings announcement hit, people assumed that they were going to be a lot smaller. The Bakugan comparison is an easy assumption to make given the usual size of a D20, and since they all transform into the same shape rather than a variety of shapes like Transformers, I think Bakugan is actually a pretty fair comparison. Even though the Dicelings are huge and not magnetized and not attached to any sort of a toy game. And that's a good thing because Hasbro doesn't have a good track record of shoving half-baked toy-based card games into other lines. Then again, D&D is already a game, and the D20s are an integral game piece. My God. I wouldn't say I've done extensive testing to see what the statistical skew is on which numbers each Diceling is most prone to landing on, but there is definitely a skew. None of these are balanced like actual dice, and it's a pretty integral part of Dungeons & Dragons that each roll is a perfect 1 in 20 chance. The Beholder lands on 20 just a little too often to call it a fluke. That being said, you probably could design a pretty fun little game with these. Whatever. Probably if I was a kid, I would be a little bit confused about what I'm supposed to do with these toys while they're dice-shaped, a problem that Bakugan and Transformers don't have. But I get the impression that these are aimed more at adult collectors, but since all the D&D toys have the same dark and elegant packaging, it's pretty hard to tell what the target demographic for any of these toys are. But either way, I think they accomplish what they're trying to be. A charming, attention-grabbing fidget toy for people that may want a bit more quirk than just a basic action figure. And personally, I would love to see the toy line expand. There's another wave on the way with a white dragon recolor of Themberchaud, a blue Beholder, a frickin' Displacer Beast, hell yeah! And I'd love it if the line would continue to expand into other creatures like a Mimic, a Mind Flayer, or like an actual Tiamat toy. Post in the comments what D&D monsters you want a Diceling of, click like,
and actually coming very soon to my Patreon, I am going to have an unboxing of the new Displacer Beast from Wave 2, so subscribe to the Patreon, check it out, that's gonna be a really fun video.
Thanks for watching, this is Jett Kuso, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you to my Diamond patrons Chell and Immortal Blank, my Titan patrons SheVitus, Sierra107, GUSANO, Logan Hill, Big Chunkus 69, Rāzu, Ryan, plecopleco, Roman Lewandowski, Task Force NEET, and Ice Feather. And my hyper patrons Gavin Greenlee, David, Trouble, DuskAnthro, Mudorios, and Lucidlana. And we have a few new base patrons, Zephyr, RubyScoo, and Jaxom Kerlin. Thank you so much for joining, hope you enjoy the new videos.